It's a pleasure to introduce Debbie. Please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, guys. Can everybody hear me? And the Las Vegas Rotary Club, which is the oldest and largest Rotary Club, meets here on Thursdays. So this is kind of like my kitchen. I eat lunch here all the time, and I've spoken here before. What we're going to do, for those of you that were with us this morning, what we're going to do this afternoon is talk specifically about LinkedIn, because it is so important for professionals. I also would like my relationship manager, Tracy Smith, to stand up. Here's Tracy. Say hi, Tracy. Tracy has two things. She has a sign-up sheet. Many of you signed up this morning. If you would like to receive my weekly social media tips email, it's short, it's to the point, it just talks about something that's going on in regards to social media. Tracy will pass that around and you can sign up. And she also has a yellow handout, which is a LinkedIn optimization program that we have. I don't want to leave it on the tables. I don't want to throw it in your face, but if you want it, Tracy has it. Okay, so how many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Wonderful. How many of you believe that your profile is optimized as it should be on LinkedIn? Oh, good. So this will be fun. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I know. By the way, feel free to stick your hand up if you have something to say or you want to ask a question, and if you want to heckle me, that's okay too. Okay. And Mahesh did a very nice introduction. I am 7 weeks from that master's. I walked in Denver last weekend, so that was really cool. And that is a master's that I wrote, because that master's doesn't exist yet, social media compliance and the law. So again, he told you we do LinkedIn profile optimizations. We will help you with all of your social media setups. We have a graphic designer, coaching, so on and so forth. And that is my disclaimer that says I am not an attorney. And when we talk about social media policies and things like that, it is based on my best experiences and the things that I know, but I am not a lawyer. Okay, so we're going to talk about LinkedIn, probably the most important professional site, business to business, okay? There is no question about it. Facebook, yes, overall in social media, Facebook has the most people, and certainly when you're reaching the consumer, and everybody is a consumer in one way or another, Facebook. But for business to business, it is definitely LinkedIn. So these are the things we're going to talk about, and I often sit in the back of the room, so I hope you guys can see it. Okay, LinkedIn is now at 200 million professionals, certainly a far cry from the billion people that Facebook tells us are on there, but very, very impressive. They continue to grow. Their stock continues to grow. This is a well-run company that is sticking with their particular niche, which is business to business and professional. This is a great place to gain strategic partners and to engage with strategic partners you may already have. Establish yourself as an expert in your particular field. Expert is in quotes because many of us don't like to use that word. Some of us can't use that word, but it puts you out there as someone who knows what you're talking about when you start engaging on LinkedIn. It's very, very important for your search engine optimization. And I will say from the beginning, social media in general is now absolutely essential for your search engine optimization. So if you're working, if you have a website, or if your firm has a website, if you're working with an SEO person, if they know what they're doing, they're going to tell you you need to start getting involved in social media, or they're not going to be able to fulfill their obligation without it. And that's just the way it is. So as I said this morning, whether you like social media or not, too bad. It's here to stay, and your competition is probably using it. The other thing is, demographically, if you don't start using it, you will not be found within 5 years. It's just the way the demographics are. And on LinkedIn, you can create a company page. It's free. You can put a company page up there as well as your profile. This is some new research. So, and regarding here again, because it's more specific to the audience here, 5 million high net worth investors in the US and Canada use social media to help with their financial decisions, okay? High net worth individuals are doing research online. A lot of them are doing it on LinkedIn, okay? So you see right there, 2/3 of high net worth individuals visit LinkedIn monthly, okay? Which is similar to Facebook, but 2 times more than Twitter and Google+, and we're not going to spend much time talking about those. The ultra affluent also use LinkedIn as a valuable resource. So people are on there. Your C-suite people, your CEOs, your CFOs, your CIOs, and on and on and on, they're on LinkedIn. And so that's where they're doing some research as well. And it is the most trusted platform for financial services information. It's very different than, how many of you use Facebook? So you know it's very different. What's being posted on Facebook is often not the same as what you would post on your LinkedIn. Again, 37.2% of business users say that LinkedIn has helped their marketing. It absolutely does. It helps your branding. This one is really important. If you can see here, LinkedIn has more value than the others, and LinkedIn has an 82% trust factor among consumers. And that's probably because the information that's on there is business related. So they don't have to sift through all that other crap that's on Facebook too. But very, very important to take a look at that. LinkedIn and SEO, I mentioned it. I'm going to say it again because it's so important. First of all, LinkedIn is searchable. If you are meeting people at networking events or other events, believe me, they're checking you out on LinkedIn. And if they're going to Google first, your LinkedIn profile is going to come up. Okay? So how you look is really, really important. And again, the company page also gives you a chance to increase your SEO. Okay, so as I said, when people Google you, and you can see here with me, it came up in the first 3, my LinkedIn profile, probably because I had made some changes, so it kept coming up. And you guys who are on LinkedIn may have noticed in the last 6 to 8 months, they have made tremendous changes. In fact, just this week, they now allow you to tag someone in a LinkedIn post, to make that in plain English, just like on Facebook where you would put someone's name and it would let them know that you mentioned them. You can now do that on LinkedIn. I'm not really sure why they're doing that, but maybe just because if you're giving somebody kudos or you're saying something, referencing someone in a professional standpoint, now they'll know about it. LinkedIn is your resume online. If it is incomplete, if it is out of date, if the picture is not professional or fairly current, then you are not representing yourself in the best light, okay? And as I said, it may be the very first impression or the second impression that somebody gets of you. So you want to make sure that whatever you're presenting there is right. You also want to make sure that all the categories are filled out because they keep changing the categories and adding more abilities for you to put in more information. Organizations, volunteer, causes, projects, all of that stuff is now available on LinkedIn. And as I said, stick your hand up if you have any questions. Don't worry about interrupting me. So what does it mean to be optimized? Well, part of it is what I just said. You do want to have everything completed, every section. But how do you want to have it completed? What's important about what you put in there? What's really important is that you use keywords. Has anyone here ever used the Google keyword tool? Okay. It's free. All you have to do is Google keyword tool. It will come up. It will allow you. Now, don't go to the one that says AdWords. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a free vehicle that Google has so that you can put a phrase in and determine if people are searching on that phrase, how often they're searching, and then it will give you page after page after page of similar types of phrases and what people are actually searching under, okay? If someone is looking to purchase life insurance, if someone is looking to purchase term insurance, whatever they're doing, sometimes you don't really realize what people are putting in when they're sitting in front of their computer or on their phone. You may think you know what people are putting in, but Google will actually tell you. It'll tell you global searches over an average per month over a 12-month period, and it will tell you local searches. Now, the Google keyword tool is most often used when you're trying to get a URL for a website, because what you want is you want something that has a lot of searches, medium or low competition. Those are really, really hard to find, okay? But sometimes you can. And for your LinkedIn profile, it's the same thing. If you can find phrases that have medium or low competition, but very high searches or relatively high searches, then use those. Take some of the others as well. What I suggest you do is make a list. When I work with a client one-on-one for the optimization, I will usually write down 15 or 20 of these phrases. And then we are going to work them into the profile in different ways. Yes, yes. Not websites, profiles. Oh yeah, we absolutely do. It takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to do this per person. Because you really need to do some research, and you need to, and everybody has different experience, obviously, their different work experience. So these are some of the things that I see. I see incomplete profiles all the time. I see outdated ones. No keywords, that's a definite. No contact information. When LinkedIn moved the contact information to the top right under the box, I'm often sitting with a client and I click, there's nothing in there. There's no phone number, there's no email address, there's nothing. And also, those of you want to take your custom URL so that it can go on your email signature, okay? And through all of this stuff, of course, you want to make sure you're doing whatever compliance you need to do for your company. And depending on, I used to be in the insurance business, I used to be a financial planner. Depending on where you're at, what your title is, what your broker-dealer is doing, you're going to have different rules. This is not blanket for everybody. And the wirehouses in particular are still way behind the curve on most of this stuff. They're starting to catch up. They're going to have to catch up. So again, you want to start at the top. I usually leave the summary for last when I work with someone because that takes the longest amount of time. And also, in many cases, the summary has to be approved by compliance before we put it up. Usually, my summaries are approved the way they are for people when we write them. We're careful when we write them. But again, people don't put descriptions of prior positions. They just put a title in there and a year, and they don't write anything about it. Contact information, as I mentioned, or when you put your website in, most people don't realize you can change that little drop-down arrow to the word other and then actually put the name of your company instead of just company website, which is generic and not searchable. Organizations, volunteer, as I mentioned before, skills and expertise. On the skills and expertise, it depends on whether or not, I'll talk about that for a minute, the skills and expertise. So the contact information, when you open that little gray box right there, most of the time this is blank or it's outdated. And people go, oh yeah, I forgot to put that in there. So that's kind of important. If you want people to be able to reach you besides reaching you through LinkedIn. And one thing on this, don't put your contact information in your summary. LinkedIn doesn't like that. Don't put your email address or your phone number. LinkedIn wants you to be contacted through LinkedIn. They would like us to do all of our communication within the system. Well, obviously that is not going to happen, so they do give you the contact information place to fill all that in. Don't worry about the IM, the instant messaging. If you have more than one website, you can put it in. You don't see an address here for me because I don't have a brick and mortar office. You guys will have that, so put the address in. Fill in all your descriptions and use your keywords, okay? 2 to 4 sentences with some keywords, go ahead and put them in. If it's totally unrelated to what you're doing now, just put a simple little line or two so when people go, they see something that explains what you were doing. It doesn't look like you just threw dates and names up there, okay? And you'll see the way they change the way the recommendations come in also. And again, another issue with compliance, the recommendations and the endorsements. Here's where the this is what it looks like, the Google keyword tool, okay? So you're gonna put a phrase in and it's gonna give you, and I know you can't see this in the back, but it's gonna give you your local monthly searches, your global monthly searches, and right here you see all these came in as high. But it's going to tell you what people are actually doing when they're sitting in front of their computer and they're looking for somebody like you. What words are they using? What order are they putting them in? Are they putting Las Vegas Insurance or Insurance Las Vegas? It may not make a difference when you think about it, but it does to the person sitting in front of their computer. Okay, so again, are they putting in a zip code? You can try zip codes in here too and see what happens. Again, as I said, and I repeat this, make a list of the keywords. And there's another reason for making a list of the keywords. And you may have many of these in your website. I would hope that you have them in your website, that whoever designed your website for you took the time to make sure that it was search engine optimized so that it has the keywords in it. Whether you're doing consistent SEO or not on a monthly basis, different story. I'm talking about when the website was actually created, when the content was actually created. The other thing is you want these to go into your Facebook business page. And I would encourage all of you, if you are able to have a Facebook business page. I know those of you that listened to me this morning, you heard this, but I'll say it just so that nobody gets in trouble. Do not use your personal Facebook page as a business page. It is a violation of Facebook's rules. I have no idea if they will find you, but if they do, they have the right to shut you down. And, you know, they're not easy. Mark's not easy to get on the phone if you have a problem, okay? So I say that because I showed a picture of someone this morning that was violating those rules. Yes? Did you have your hand up? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had her hand up. Yes? That's a great question. Thank you. Here's how I usually answer that. I say if there isn't a reason not to connect with someone, then connect with them. Direct competitors, up to you. But again, you are expanding your network. Think of LinkedIn as a global networking event. The more you can expand your network, you guys know 6 degrees of separation and all that. You don't know who's connected to whom. If you can expand your network out, go ahead and do it. If there's someone on there you absolutely do not want to be connected to, because you can't block people on LinkedIn. If there's someone you don't want to be connected to, if there is a direct competitor you do not feel comfortable being connected to, of course. And when you make those connections, you know, when you make a connection, then it'll say people you may know, and you can click on them even if you don't actually have an established relationship. Don't be a pig. Click on 2, 3, or 4 at a time, because LinkedIn will shut you down if you start clicking on too many people at one time that you don't actually have a relationship with. I spoke for a group about a year ago about this, and a gentleman sent me an email a couple days later and told me LinkedIn had shut down his profile. Why? Because he had clicked on 800 people in about 3 days. And actually, they sent him a warning, and he kept doing it, and then they shut the page down, and he had to write to them and get it back up, and the whole story. I mean, that's just dumb. So, you know, use your discretion. Again, complete every section. This is a new section. These are organizations. Now, I will tell you that I put Las Vegas Rotary also in the top where my employment is, because I want people to see that everywhere, and it connects me to Rotarians all over the world. But it also gives me a place now to put it there and to talk about it, which it didn't do before. So now I have it here as well. And here's where I was talking about publications. You can go ahead and add that. You can go ahead and add any volunteering that you do and put the search terms in, because other people who volunteer for that same organization, you'll come up as people you may know, and you don't know who they are or who they're connected to, or if they are a potential strategic partner or a potential client. Add skills and expertise. LinkedIn now lets you add 50 skills and expertise. And what you do is you type in a word, and then all these other words, phrases will come up. So if you type in client, it'll say client relationship, client retention, you know, on and on and on. So you type client in a few times, you type customer in. If you put something in that doesn't come up, you can add it. So that's how these things keep getting added to. These are search terms. So if people are searching in LinkedIn, you will come up with these search terms. They're also search terms because this has a high pull with Google and Bing and Yahoo. Some of you are not going to be able to accept endorsements, okay? And again, it depends. It depends on what you're doing, and it depends on your broker-dealer. It depends where you're at with what's going on. I still recommend you put them up if they'll let you. So what I usually do is say, let's put them up, and then when people endorse you, you manually go in and take off the endorsement. So you'll have to check your LinkedIn profile on a regular basis, which you should be doing anyway. Or simply don't put any skills and expertise. But that does remove a lot of the search terms for you. This whole thing with endorsements and recommendations, I can tell you from the attorneys that I work with and the bar associations, attorneys are not supposed to have endorsements or recommendations on social media. The Nevada Bar Association has thrown their hands up because they can't police it. I mean, how do you police the public? I suspect that that will eventually come across the board for every industry, because you simply can't tell the public not to do it and regulate it and police it. But for now, you have to remain compliant with whatever it is that you need to do or not do. But if you can, go ahead and put those skills and expertise in. And here they are. So what ends up happening, and it's not that I'm, you know, so incredibly popular. You guys know that when you log into LinkedIn now, you go to somebody's page, it's going to ask you to endorse them, to check those little boxes, or check all. And that's how people are endorsing each other. I don't, by the way, endorse people I don't know, okay? But if it's somebody I know and I know that that's their particular line of work, then I'll take the extra 3 seconds to endorse them, all right? And that's how all this starts happening, and you build up these endorsements, and you look like you know what you're talking about when people go to your profile. And so you can do up to 50 of these. You can change them, as I said. You can add ones that aren't there. And that's how we're getting all the different professions to be listed there when you put in the little keyword. And think outside the box. Don't just think about, you know, what else do you do? Do you do relationship management? Do you do marketing? Do you do sales? Do you do research? You know, what else do you do? Put all those words in, and stuff will, do you have phone skills? Stuff will come up, because it gets hard getting to 50. And you don't have to get to 50, but they allow you to put 50 in. The recommendations, what that says is, please recommend me. I'll wash your car, buy you a house, give you my firstborn. I'll say I'll be your slave, anything. Please don't ask for recommendations in a blanket, which you can do on LinkedIn. Please don't ask for recommendations from people you don't know. It's really annoying, and it's really bad form. Or even people that don't know you professionally. The best way to get a recommendation is to give one. And what happens when you give a recommendation, people will reciprocate because LinkedIn will say, now would you like to recommend Susie? And again, this is all within compliance, but that's how you want to do it. You don't want to just send out you can send out a blanket. You can go through you can hit recommendations, hit contacts, hit recommendations, and go through and pick 30 people that you truly believe would be happy to send you a recommendation. And then put a little note saying, you know, I'd really appreciate it if you help me out on my LinkedIn profile and send me a recommendation. But you actually know those people, and they actually have a reason to endorse you. Don't just click everybody and then expect a stranger's going to get that and think, well, what is it that I would say? And I don't think you want a stranger filling that out anyway. And yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on your broker-dealer. Yeah, that's why I was saying some of you will be able to get endorsements. The recommendations are still blocked, is what Mahesh is saying. And yes, in some cases, the financial company I'm working with right now, they can't accept endorsements, and that's pretty true across the board right now with a lot of the broker-dealers. It's up to you, and if they will allow you to still put the skills and expertise and manually take them off, they may not. You just have to wait because things are changing very quickly. Eventually, I think that will not be an issue. Making connections and to the point, go ahead and connect with people. Like I said, unless there's a reason not to. I mean, you know, obviously, if there's a situation, then don't. But otherwise, I like to expand my network. I see no reason not to. I have never had a problem on LinkedIn accepting people that I didn't necessarily know. I get asked this question all the time. Should I upgrade my LinkedIn profile? How many of you get those free trial upgrade for 30 days? It's up to you. I usually tell people not to. You can use a free trial and try it. If you're going to use LinkedIn consistently, and I'll tell you what the upgrade will do. The upgrade will allow you to reach people that don't want to be reached with something called an in-mail, just like an email within LinkedIn. If you are trying to reach predominantly C-suite people, then you may want to upgrade, because a lot of them you cannot get to. The other thing is it gives you more introduction capability, meaning I know somebody you want to be connected to. You ask me to make an introduction via LinkedIn to that person, and you get more of those when you upgrade. If you're looking for a job or you're looking for talent, it may make sense to upgrade, because their job search function is a big part of what LinkedIn does on both sides. So in that case, possibly. There are more advanced search functions. When you go to the advanced search, if you upgrade, you'll be able to be more specific about what you're looking for, about the target you're looking for. And like I said, try it. If you have a free trial, I've tried it, and then I don't upgrade. For some people, it may make sense to upgrade if you're really using this and you're really going to spend the time with it. So does that answer that question? Because I always get that question for LinkedIn. Here's the advanced search. So you simply go up here, and you can put in keywords of what you're looking for. I could put attorneys in there and tell it where. I could put a zip code if I want, or a city, Las Vegas. It's going to pull the attorneys. And hopefully they have it actually somewhere in their profile. But I could also be more specific than just attorney. When I upgrade, I get to be much more specific about things. But it does bring it up. It will search for you even if you don't upgrade for that particular profession or company. You might be looking for people who work at a certain company. You might be trying to get into a certain company, and you can use that search as well. You can also advertise on LinkedIn, just like on Facebook. And again, that's a management thing that we do for our clients, but you know those boxes that come up now, you can target and also advertise on LinkedIn. Groups. Groups are one of the most important things about LinkedIn. There's over 1 million of them, and there's all different kinds. What I usually find when I sit with a client is they are connected, and myself included, I clean it up every now and then, to a dozen or more, and they're perhaps participating in one or two. Often the one or two they're participating in, they're preaching to the choir. So think about your strategic partners. There's no reason not to belong to a group that is of a similar profession, because referrals. You don't all do exactly the same thing. You don't all work for the same company, and people do move to Las Vegas and would like a referral from somebody they worked with back east or wherever they're coming from. But think outside, think outside the box with groups as well. There are groups for Harley riders, there are groups for people who play golf, there are groups for fitness people, there are groups for rock climbing, for dancing. You name it, there's probably a group on LinkedIn. Rotary, the official Rotary International group is really the one that I spend the most time in. Look for something outside what you just do for a profession. You'll have more fun. You already have a connection with people based on something other than business, and you can start building a relationship that can then become a business relationship, because they will eventually check out your profile and you will eventually check out their profile. So, and again, in the groups, what do you want to do? You want to engage. Ask a question. Ask someone's opinion. Respond to what somebody has put down there. Don't sell. In fact, selling on LinkedIn, how many of you get those LinkedIn messages from people and all it is a sales pitch? It comes in as a private message. Yeah, I do too. And I usually write back to them and thank them and tell them that I'd rather build a relationship before they sell to me. Yes. Yeah, me too. I think it's something LinkedIn just added. I don't care for it, actually. But that's what they're doing. They're able to send a business card through LinkedIn now, and that's pretty new. Thank you. Again, I don't mind accepting something from someone I don't know, but I just don't want a sales pitch that they sent out to 5,000 people. The most important thing is to engage. Whether it's a personal type of a group or a business type of a group, just talk to people, put comments. Engage with what they said. Don't get into an argument with anybody, but this is definitely not the place for that. But you will start to engage with people and meet people, and many of them will be global, because this is very much a global site. So again, joining groups. There's two kinds. There's open groups and closed groups. Most groups now are open, but they'll check to see if I want to join a Rotary group, they're going to check to see if I'm a Rotarian. Some groups are closed groups. If you are a group of physicians, you are probably not going to have pharmaceutical salespeople in your group, okay? And there's a reason for that. The doctors are talking to each other. They have closed Facebook groups as well, the physicians, and you cannot get in unless you're a physician. So they will check to see if you're whatever group you're trying to join. It'll say that management is looking at your pending approval is what it'll say. Most of the time you won't have a problem, but some of these will get tricky and they don't want outsiders in there. So again, as I mentioned, the Harley group, there's several of them. Several of them are quite large. And as I mentioned in the morning, demographics for Harley riders, they are highly intelligent and high net worth, and usually in the boomer age group. So, think outside the box. I wouldn't join that group if you weren't a Harley rider, because they probably are going to kick you out. But again, think outside the box. Organizations that you belong to, and talk to people on a different level. Okay, set up a company page. It's free. You go to add a company, and you can set up your company on LinkedIn. What you want to do again, and if you have a website, copy, paste, you want to put the links to the specific place on your website where you have that product or service. Don't send them always to the homepage, because people have the attention span of a gnat. You want to send them to exactly where you want them to go. It's very easy to load videos on there, on the company pages. If your company has a video on YouTube, very easy to put that up there. You can put your email. The company pages are nice. And it does allow you to put your products and services. And there is no charge to do that. We do it for our clients, but you certainly can take the hour or so and do it yourself. And again, use your keywords. And again, they should be on your website, but you can always add to them as well and make sure that you have keywords in there. So that's what the LinkedIn company page looks like. And you can go Coca-Cola, you can take a look at some of them. It'll list employees, and it'll list products and services if there's job openings and things like that. They change this all the time too. They add things all the time. But go ahead and set up a company page on LinkedIn. Post often and engage. So again, 2 to 4 times a week. LinkedIn is very much a personal site, unlike Facebook, where you put up a Facebook business page, and I will tell you, you should have somebody help you with it because you're not going to have the time. This, you pretty much, you can have an assistant do this for you. Just remember they're speaking as you, because it's your picture. It's not your cat or your dog or whatever on LinkedIn. It's you in a professional picture. But certainly somebody can assist you with this if they're trained. You can put links to articles, share your blog posts if you're blogging, and of course, very importantly, to engage with others and just, click like or great article or thanks, I didn't know that, or would love to learn more. Don't write a novel. Nobody has time. Just these short little phrases to let people know that you actually read something. Don't post an article without reading it. I don't care where you get it from, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the BBC. Don't post anything you haven't read because you just don't know what's in it when you get a question or a comment. And always make sure there's a share button. There may not be a LinkedIn share button, there may be a Facebook share button. If there's no LinkedIn share button, take the URL from the top of the page. But if there's absolutely no capability to share, which you will often find with the Review Journal or the Business Press, don't take the article, okay? There are intellectual property and copyright issues there if you don't see that. And please don't take photos off the web. Go to CanStock Photo, set up an account, put 25 bucks on it, and when you need a photograph, pull it off there. Don't take photographs off the web, okay? Add your comments, like I said. When you post something, make sure you put a comment on your stuff as well. Don't just throw it up there. Let people know that you liked it, that you thought it was interesting, a point or two that you found, ask a question, do you agree with this? So just make sure, same thing on Facebook, by the way. Just make sure that you have it. If you have a Twitter account, you can send it directly over to Twitter. Same thing on Facebook. You can forward your Facebook business page over to your Twitter account, okay? So if you want to do that, you certainly can, and you don't have to go post on Twitter. Lastly, this is a company called Social Safe. I mentioned it this morning. It's a company out of the UK that are affiliate partners of ours. I found them by accident, actually. And what they do is they allow you to back up your social media, and they allow you to back up 4 sites for under $17 a year. Now, from a compliance standpoint, and we talked about this morning, I think companies, they're putting together an enterprise platform because as the SEC and FINRA and all these guidelines change, not just for you, but for loan officers and a lot of people, you're going to have to back this stuff up. You're going to have to keep a record. And the only way you can keep a record is if you have it on your computer or somewhere on a server, because Facebook could decide tomorrow to shut it down, or LinkedIn. You don't own any of this stuff. Nobody owns any of this stuff, okay? So what this does, and mine does it, I think, on Sunday nights. Every Sunday night, it goes in and it backs up what I have on Twitter, LinkedIn, my personal Facebook, and my business. The pictures, the comments, everything, backs up everything to my computer, okay? If you go to my site, dowecomply.com, there is, I think, a 60 or 90-day free trial, and after that, it's like $16.95, whatever I said here. It's very minimal to back up for. When companies start doing it company-wide, that's going to be an enterprise, and obviously the pricing will change. Any questions? Can Stock Photo, CANSTOCK photo.com. I like it the best. I think it's very reasonable. You only need to purchase the small one. It's usually $2. And if you put money on an account, they give you extra points. And any subject you put in there, you'll find a picture on. Because pictures are great for Facebook, particularly for Facebook if you're posting. Anyone else? Any other questions? Yes. Okay. I'm going to guess at this one. I'm going to guess they're using one of the very many companies out there that regulate compliance for broker-dealers because they have platforms and that they are being charged for that platform and they're passing it through to you. And there are tons of them. Yeah. There are companies, Forefield is one of them. There's tons of them. And they're basically compliance platforms for your industry. They exist in every industry that has compliance. And what they're doing is they're monitoring, they're doing compliance on their end, and and I'm sure that there's a fee to the broker-dealer for that. Yeah, so they're passing it through. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. I don't spend much time on them. You do want to check Yelp, and I should say this. I said it this morning. Set up a Google alert. Google Alerts will allow you to set up another free tool from Google. Subject matter that you want articles to be pulled from the web, but set one up for your name and your company as well. And then it'll tell you if something hits the web on a review somewhere. Okay, so again, that's free. You can set up as many as you want. I suggest you get a daily digest, not as it happens, or you'll go nuts. But it will pull from the web in real time blogs, articles, websites on whatever subject matter you put in there. It makes it easier for you to find stuff to post. Just make sure you read it. And if it's a blog, make sure it's not a direct competitor that you're putting up there. Yes. You can use platforms like Hootsuite and others. I do not recommend them. And the reason I don't recommend them is because you shouldn't be posting the same thing all the time on all the different platforms. And the other reason is because people tend to post out on those and never go back and see what's happened. So what I mean by that is they never go back and see if anybody put a comment on. They just use the platform, they post out for a week, and they forget about it. And although sometimes what you put on your Facebook business page can certainly be what you put on LinkedIn, but remember when you post on LinkedIn, you're speaking to your potential client, but speak to your strategic partner. If you've got information that will help CPAs, post it. Post stuff to tax attorneys. Post stuff to estate planning attorneys. Talk to your strategic partners when you're posting on LinkedIn. Let them know that you know what you're talking about when they need your services for their clients. Any other questions? Well, thank you guys. You've been great. I appreciate it.